Welcome to yoga through Somerville Library. I'm Jen. I've lived in Somerville for 15 years and been teaching just as long as well. So I'm happy to share some of these movements and tools and practice with you. So the yoga that I like to share is yoga that's meant for anybody and meant for you to take time to connect, especially in our culture, to put down our phones, to have time for you to check in with yourself and your body. It's autumn and we're outside, and I wanted to share with you a practice that has a combination of some restorative, stress relieving shapes, as well as a few energizing ones as well. You might want to have something for underneath your knees. You might want to have a chair nearby in case you want to hold on to something as well. And just take it as you can. Listen to your body. So I'm starting cross-legged, and you can begin just to get comfortable wiggling out your seat underneath you. You can pick up one knee at a time and just feel your legs getting a little heavier to the ground. So even putting a little bit of pressure with your hands to your legs can be helpful. And then shrug your shoulders. You might do one at a time. And then bring your wrists into play. A little bit of wrist spiraling. And eventually taking some spinal movement. So like if you know cat and cow pose, that's what I'm doing here, just from a seated position. Curling in, rounding your back, and then lifting the ribs, the chest forward, maybe looking up. And so all this integration is just allowing you to assess your breath in the moment, your state of mind, your emotions. So now we're going to take a side stretch. You just want to hold for at least one full breath in and out. And then come back to your comfortable seat. So from here you might just find some intentional pause after that opening integration before we move further into the practice. And when you're ready, I'm going to have you start lying down in a prone position on your stomach. So at home, you could put a blanket under your pelvis, anything that's going to help you feel a little more comfortable. This first pose is called Crocodile, or at least I call it Crocodile. You're going to stack your forearms and let your forehead rest on your forearms. So the space right between your brow is where you can settle in and let your whole body get heavy to the ground. And so perhaps you'll scan from your head into your shoulders, your ribs, your hips and low back, and eventually your legs. Then bend your knees. Let your feet sway from side to side. And then kick the legs back and forth. And then I'm going to have you come up onto your elbows. So now this is called Sphinx Pose. And you're going to gently press down into your elbows, forearms, palms, and notice your mid to upper back. And then let your shoulders relax, let your head drop down. And then lift back up, press down, lift your chest forward. And then relax. When you relax this time, I want you to take one arm, so I'm taking my left arm and angling it, so you can take your right hand out to the right, press into the ground, and look over your right shoulder. So just stay very gentle with what you're feeling from your ribs to your low back. Come back to center and you'll do the same thing on the other side. Now my right arm is diagonal, left arm out to the left, and look over your shoulder. Come back to center. We're going to go back to the right side, but see if you can straighten the arm out, and I'm lifting my hips up and taking right knee to the ground. You get an even wider opening, lateral movement for your spine. So now you're going to lift the left hip up, reach the left arm out, and come right back down. Okay, now this time, Sphinx arms, you're going to bring your right knee up next to you in line with your hip. So this is sometimes called half frog pose. So from Sphinx, draw the knee forward and hold it there. And you're going to press down into your elbows, knee, and maybe even left thigh. So hips can come up a little bit if you feel comfortable. Otherwise, you're just resting your stomach and hips down. Turn your head side to side. And then after a moment of that activation, you're going to rest. Take your arms down, turn your head to the side, close your eyes. After a few moments there, you'll come back up. And it helps sometimes to press firm again while you bring that right leg back behind you. So now we'll switch sides. Take your left knee out to the left. And you're going to first activate pressing down into your elbows, left knee, maybe even right thigh. And then let everything get soft while you come down to rest. So I'm going to turn my head to the left and stay for a few slow restorative breaths. Start to come back up. And you're going to press firm to bring the left leg back down. Last thing we'll do here is start to lift both legs like we did at the beginning. Some kicking there, but we're going to stretch into Locust Pose. Arms back behind you. You could either have your palms down next to you and lift the chest, or you could lift the palms up and lift the legs as well. So try both versions. Maybe start with just the chest lifting and see how that feels in your low back. Anytime you need to rest, drop your chest, take a beat, and then lift up again. See if you can hold the shape for a couple of breaths before you rest. So now I'm going to let the palms flip up, turn the head to the side, let the hips wiggle out a little bit. If you need to, you can always sway the legs. back and forth. So from here, hands can flip next to your chest, elbows bent, and you don't have to get too accurate about where your elbows are. You just place your hands in a comfortable spot for your wrists and start to lift up. So this is Cobra Pose. And so some of you might have your hands further forward. Some of you might have your hands further back. Just see what happens when the muscles along the spine start to have to work as you press up, and what feels comfortable. Wherever you can hold for a couple of breaths, that's where you'll stay. And then lower down and press up now through your knees, hands, and feet. So you can crawl your knees in and you'll be in table pose on your hands and knees. So generally you'll hear in this pose, have your hands and knees more or less in line with your shoulders and hips. But again, each of you will have slightly different alignment. So just walk your hands and knees around until you feel comfortable. So cat and cow is when you press down into the ground and round, curl in, and then bend the elbows, lift your chest, lift your head. So you're moving the spine through flexion and extension, back and forth. Okay, and then from here I'm going to have you see if it's comfortable to step right foot out to the right. Your knee and your foot are facing out to the side. And you can walk your hands a little closer to you in order to take some side lunges. And then keeping your left hand down, your right hand can come to your right thigh, and you're going to turn to look up. And keep the left arm straight. You could even bring your right fingertips to the arm and just trace one line up. Slowly come back down. Bring your right knee back to the floor. And from here, maybe your wrists need a break. So you're going to sit back towards Child's Pose. In Child's Pose, you could be here. If that's too much on your knees, you could keep your hips up, drop down to your elbows, and rest your head. So either version. And when you're ready, come back to table. Now, another way to warm up your wrists is to make fists, press down, and practice rotating your wrists in and out, walking forward, diagonal, center. You can do that up on your fingertips. And then we'll take the other side, side lunge. So now step your left foot out to the left. And if you need to, just adjust to where you feel comfortable. And you can walk your hands closer to you and start to lunge back and forth from side to side. So then next, you're going to keep right hand to the ground, left hand to left thigh, and start to slowly open up. So again, if you want, the left hand can come to the right arm, and you can slide up to open. And you don't have to keep your head looking up. You can find a comfortable place for your neck. Bring your hand back down and sweep the left knee back behind you. Okay, so again, we'll come into either Child's Pose, resting the hips back towards the heels, stretching the arms forward. Or you can keep the hips up and the forearms down. Come back to your table, and now we'll take arm raises. So the right arm is going to reach straight out to the right and up to the sky. Slowly come back down, left arm to the left and up. Now this time when we go back to the right, we're going to take what's called thread the needle pose. So the right arm is going to come under the left arm. Your hips stay where they're at, dropping right shoulder to the ground, to the mat. And if you need to, your left arm can move out to the side to wherever you feel like you can press into the ground to help support yourself. Your next breath, start to press into the left hand to slide the right arm back out. So before we do the other side, you might take a cat-cow and you can switch the way that you have your hands positioned. So I sometimes like to have fingertips pointing out to the side or pointing in towards my body, and then take some cat-cow. You could also be up on your fingertips. And now we're going to take left arm laterally out to the left, and then weave the left arm under the right arm, dropping left shoulder, left ear to the ground. The right hand can move out to the side, and that just might help you get into your back a little bit. And when you're ready, the right hand presses firm to the ground so you can slide back upright. Table pose. Now from table, walk your knees in a little bit, and we're going to kick one leg back at a time. So everything we're doing in this practice is just to help you unwind from a lot of sitting. And if you want, you can swing the right knee around in a circle a couple of times, and then do the same thing with your left knee. Okay, from here we're going to flip onto our back. So first come to lie down with your knees bent, feet to the mat. And just wiggle around so you feel comfortable. You get a sense of what it's like to now be in this relationship to gravity. Hands can be on your ribs or on your stomach. Now you're going to let your knees start to sway side to side. So I started just with my feet about as wide as my hips. But what you could also do is wiggle the feet a little bit wider and let the knees come together. Then wiggle your shoulders further out from under you. And that might just feel really nice to stay still. But even from this place, it brings slightly different feel when you start to sway the knees, because now your thighs, your knees are a little farther away from each other, and you can get another angle across the hip. So I even like to hold sometimes when I drop to one side, just hold, feel it. And then you might come back to that still point, knees coming together, hands to your ribs, or even arms out to the side next to you. Notice your face, especially, and see if you can close your eyes for a moment. Squeeze your eyes shut and then relax. And sometimes it helps to do that a couple of times if you find that your eyes are fluttering, or if you find that your mouth needs to relax. Start to wiggle your fingers, bring your arms up above your body. And from here, reach your fingers all the way up above you. So you feel your shoulder blades lifting away from the ground. And then relax the shoulder blades back down to the ground. So do that a few times, keeping the back of your head to the mat. And then bend your elbows. You can let your hands come toward your shoulders, maybe even slide your fingers underneath your upper back a little bit. Lift your arms back as far as they can go, so you stretch the back of the arm. And then bring it back. But now keep your elbows coming towards your chest, and you get to decide if you want to find some pressure at your upper back, holding on, gripping on. So you could do this sitting upright too, but sometimes it's helpful just to be resting. And then let go, slide the arms back up, and then back out to the side. Okay, so now bring your feet back to the mat with your knees apart. And we're going to lift right leg up into the air, and you're going to lower the right leg straight and strong, active to the floor. Pick it back up, bend your knee, place the foot to the mat. Same thing with the left side. Left leg comes up, flex the foot, lower the leg, tap the ground, come right back up, bend the knee, place it down. Let's try that one more time on each side. So right leg lifts up, lower the leg, bring it back up, and bend the knee. Left leg straightens, lowers, lifts, and bends. Now the arms can slide next to you. And if you want, you could grip the edge of your mat, or you could have your elbows pressing down to the mat. We're going to take some bridge pose. So first you want to lift your hips and just sense how far away your feet are from your hips. You might need to walk the feet a little closer so you can lift higher and feel a little more stable in your body. And then just set your hips back down. So that first one, you just get to figure out your positioning. So the second one, now we get to hold it. So you're going to press firm into the back of your head, shoulders, feet, back of the arms, lift the hips up. Maybe close your eyes. Stay sensitive to your attention, your breath. And then lower down slowly. Okay. You can let your knees rock side to side. Rock your hips a little bit. And let's try that one more time. So this time I'll demonstrate with elbows down, back of the arms down, hands up in the air. So you're just going to press firm through your elbows to lift your hips up. Just come as high as you can hold for at least 2 to 3 full breaths. And then slowly lower back down. Let the knees sway. Arms can reach out to the sides. We're going to end with a couple more poses for the hips. So we're going to take the right ankle across the left thigh for your figure 4. So for some of you, this could be where you stay. You could lift your head up, look at your 4 that you've created, and you can just let your arms rest like that. If you feel like you're able to pick your left foot up, bring the legs closer to you, then you're going to take your right hand, weave it through the open space of the legs. Left hand reaches around to touch your right hand. And you're going to pull as much as you're able. So if you also have like a towel or an extra shirt or something, you could use that instead of your hands. You could also clasp underneath your knee. And a little bit of swaying in it could be helpful too. So from here, I'm going to have you bring your hands out, grab your right knee, and while you're doing that, the left leg reaches straight out and down the length of the mat. So now you have your right knee, and we're going to take a gentle twist, starting to cross the knee over to the left. So you could just stop right here, let your right arm reach out to the right, turn your head to the right. If you can keep going over to the left with your right knee, you can keep exploring that, but just don't force it. And eventually bring that leg back to center and straighten the leg down the mat. So now you pause with all of your limbs out to the sides. And when you're ready, bend both knees, plant your feet back to the mat. And we're going to bring the arms in and take the left ankle to the right thigh. So again, you might look up, just check out the shape, decide if you need to just stay there and rest, or pick your right foot up so everything comes closer to you. Right away, you'll feel that through your outer hips. And if you're able to hold it, weave your left hand through the opening in the legs. So then the right hand comes to meet the left hand, either at your right shin or under your right knee. And then when you've held it for a few breaths, you're ready to move on, take your hands out to your left knee, slide your right leg down the length of the mat, and we're going to take a twist here, left knee crossing over to the right, left arm opening to the left. Your head can drop to the left, or just find a spot that's comfortable. On your next breath, release back to center. Left leg reaches down the length of the mat. You might bring your arms alongside you for a moment. Wiggle your body out until you find a spot where you feel the most comfortable. This is the end of the practice where you might want to put a blanket on you or socks on. Make sure you get comfortable. This is the final resting pose. Some of you might let your arms rest out to the sides, and others of you might try placing your hands on your body at your center. If it's comfortable, close your eyes, or you might just gaze up at the ceiling, or if you're outside, up at some trees or the sky. So this is the part of practice where we let everything we've done so far, all of the different shapes and movements, we let it settle. And rest. See if you can be present to yourself. If you notice that your thoughts continue to go on to what's next in your day, then one thing you could do is start at one end of your body. So let's say your head. And just take a scan all the way down the length of your body. So from your head, next notice your throat, maybe even swallow to clear your throat. Notice the outline of your arms all the way to your hands. Notice your chest, ribs, spine, stomach, everything that makes up your torso. Moving into your pelvis. And then to each leg. Scan down the thighs to the knees. To your shins and ankles. And then to your feet. From there, notice your entire back side of your body melding with the front side of your body, both right and left sides. And then gentle movement might start with your hands, picking your hands up, wiggling your fingers. Same with your toes. Bringing your feet slowly back to the mat, knees bend. Maybe letting the knees sway one more time and starting to open your eyes. And then finding your way upright when you're ready. So you can either sit straight up, but the most calming way is to roll to one side. Use your outer hand to guide yourself up. Shift yourself around so you can come to seated. You can sit up on something or you can just sit cross-legged. Take a big breath. I like to let it out through the mouth. And you might bring one hand to your chest, one hand to your upper abdomen. And just acknowledge this practice Acknowledge your current body and current moment.